Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on protein. You hear about it all the time, right?
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
So we've gathered some really great info. We've got stuff from Healthline on tasty high-protein foods, WebMD looking at, the good and the bad of higher protein diets.
And Harvard Health, yeah, focusing on the best sources for just like general health.
Exactly. So our mission today, cut through the confusion. We want to give you the essentials, why you need it, the best ways to get it, animal, plant-based, all that.
And figure out roughly how much you actually need.
Right. Without getting totally bogged down in, complex science, let's just jump in.
Okay, sounds good. So protein, it really is fundamental. It's not just like for bodybuilders.
No, definitely not.
Our sources really stress this. It's the basic building block for, well, repairing and building pretty much everything. Your bones, cartilage.
Muscles, skin, even blood.
Yep, even blood. And beyond that structure stuff, it's key for your immune system keeping you healthy. And it's involved in, movement, countless chemical reactions, making hormones. It does a lot.
It's wild that it all boils down to these things called amino acids.
Uh-huh.
And the articles mention 9 that are essential. What's the deal with that? Why essential?
Well, essential basically means your body just can't make them itself, period.
Oh.
You have to get them from the food you eat. No other way. They're like critical parts in a machine. Miss one, and things don't work right.
Got it. And it's not just about the building blocks, is it? I mean, coatine seems to affect how full we feel, too.
Oh, definitely. That's a big one the articles touched on.
Yeah, that feeling of fullness,
Yeah.
satiety, helps with weight management thoughts for a lot of us.
That's right. See, protein structure is more complex than, say, carbs.
Okay.
So your body takes longer, puts more effort into breaking it down. That slower process, that's what helps you feel satisfied for longer after a meal.
Right, so you're less likely to snack right away. Makes sense.
That's why meals with a decent amount of protein can really stick with you.
Okay, so we know it's vital, helps us feel full. Now, the million-dollar question, how much do we actually need? The sources gave some numbers.
They did. There's the General Recommended Dietary Allowance, the RDA. That's around 0.36 grams of protein per pound of body weight.
Or 0.8 grams per kilogram, right.
Correct. But, and this is important, the RBA is really just the minimum. It's the baseline to stop you from becoming deficient.
So not necessarily the optimal amount.
Not necessarily, especially if you're active. Your needs for, peak health and function might actually be quite a bit higher than that minimum RDA.
Okay, and the article suggested that active folks do need more. What kind of range are we talking about there?
Yeah, for people exercising regularly, the demand for protein goes up. You need it to repair and build muscle.
Makes sense.
So the suggested range is pretty wide, actually, somewhere between 0.54 to 0.9 grams per pound.
Which is 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram.
Exactly. And remember, needs can change based on other things, too, like pregnancy or breastfeeding. Those stages require more protein as well.
Okay, so let's make that concrete. If someone weighs, say, 165 pounds, that RDA is around 60 grams a day.
Yep. About 60 grams. That's the minimum floor.
But if I'm hitting the gym, doing workouts regularly, I should probably aim higher than 60 grams.
Precisely. Depending on how hard and how often you're training, aiming towards the upper end of that active range, maybe closer to the 0.9 grams per pound.
Or 2 grams per kilo.
Yeah, that could really help support muscle recovery and growth more effectively.
All right, good perspective. So we've got the why and sort of how much ballpark. Let's get to the good part, the food. Where do we find this stuff?
Yes. The sources listed loads of great options. Let's kick things off with a breakfast favorite. Eggs.
Can't beat eggs.
Seriously. Healthline points out a large whole egg gives you about 6.3 grams of really high-quality, easily absorbed protein.
And lots of other nutrients too, right? Not just protein.
Oh, absolutely. The yolk has tons of good stuff. Egg whites are almost pure protein, sure, but the whole egg is the nutritional powerhouse.
Good point. Okay, what about snacks? Something quick between meals. Nuts always come up.
Nuts are fantastic. Great grab-and-go choice. You get protein, healthy, fast.
Which ones are best? Almonds.
Almonds are great, yeah. About 6 grams of protein per ounce, plus fiber, vitamin E, manganese, magnesium. Good stuff.
And good for the heart, I think I read.
Some research does suggest that, yes.
Now,
helps with heart disease risk factors. Pistachios, cashews, also good protein sources. Maybe slightly less per ounce, but still solid.
Cool. Moving to main meals then. Chicken breast, the classic lean protein.
It really is the go-to for a reason. Just half a chicken breast can pack nearly 27 grams of lean protein.
Wow.
Plus you get B vitamins, zinc, selenium. And as WebMD points out, sticking to the white meat keeps the fat lower than dark meat.
And take the skin off, right? Less saturated fat.
Exactly. Simple trick.
What about dairy? Greek yogurt is huge now for protein.
Oh yeah, Greek yogurt's a star. That thick texture means more protein. You can get almost 20 grams in a standard 7-ounce pot.
That's a lot.
It is. Plus, calcium, B12, vitamin A, selenium, zinc. It's packed.
Any other dairy standouts?
Cottage cheese? Don't forget cottage cheese. It's often low-fat, low-calorie, but delivers a massive 28 grams of protein per cup.
28 grams, seriously.
Yep. Plus calcium, phosphorus, and even regular milk gives you a solid 8 grams of high-quality protein per cup.
Good to know. Okay, switching gears a bit. For listeners leaning more plant-based, lentils are always mentioned.
Lentils are fantastic. A real cornerstone of plant-based protein. About 9 grams in a 100-gram cooked serving, which is roughly half a cup.
Plus fiber, right? Lots of fiber.
Loads of fiber, folate, magnesium, iron, very nutrient dense. And Healthline mentions studies linking lentils and other legumes like chickpeas and black beans.
Also a good option.
Definitely. Chickpeas have around 7 grams per 100 gram, black beans nearly 9. Eating them regularly seems linked to lower risk of heart disease and fatty liver disease, too. Probably the combo of fiber and nutrient.
Interesting. Okay, back to meat eaters for a sec. Lean beef, besides chicken.
Lean beef absolutely delivers on protein. Nearly 25 grams in a 3-ounce serving.
And iron, right. That's a big one for beef.
Yep. Highly bioavailable iron. Plus zinc, selenium, B vitamins. But, moderation is the word here.
Harvard Health mentioned that, didn't they? Potential health links.
Right. So choosing lean cuts is important. Things like top round steak can actually have similar saturated fat levels to skinless chicken.
Good comparison. And then there's fish. Always hear about fish being healthy.
Fish is excellent. Great protein source. Salmon, for instance, over 30 grams in half a fillet. Cod can be even higher, like 41 grams per fillet.
Wow. And omega-3s, of course.
Especially in fatty fish like salmon and herring. Great for heart health. Fish also gives you iodine, selenium, B12. Just need to be mindful of methylmercury, as Harvard Health advises choose lower mercury options.
Okay. Now, quinoa is interesting. It's a grain, but it's known for protein.
Yeah, quinoa stands out. About 8 grams of protein per cooked cup. Way higher than most grains.
Plus fiber and minerals.
Yep. Fiber, folate, copper, iron, zinc. It's often called a complete protein, too, because it has all 9 essential amino acids.
All 9. That's rare for plants, isn't it?
It is, though Healthline notes some might be in slightly lower amounts than you'd find in, say, eggs or meat. But still, very good profile for a grain.
Gotcha. And what about convenience? Protein powders.
Can't ignore those. Super convenient, especially if you're busy or need a quick boost after a workout.
Whey pea protein.
Mm?
Those are common.
Exactly. Protein content varies, but a scoop often gives you around 15, maybe 17 grams or so. Great for shakes, smoothies.
I also saw Ezekiel bread mentioned. Higher protein bread.
Yeah, it's made from sprouted grains and legumes, so it does tend to have a bit more protein than standard bread, maybe 6 grams a slice.
And more fiber, too, usually.
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
More nutrient dense overall.
Okay. And what about just adding things to meals, like seeds, pumpkin seeds?
Great idea. Pumpkin seeds offer nearly 9 grams of plant-based protein in just a quarter cup.
That's pretty good for a seed.
It is. Plus minerals like iron, magnesium, zinc. Sunflower seeds and flax seeds are also good, high-protein seed choices for sprinkling on things.
Nice. Turkey breast, another lean option.
Definitely. Very lean, mostly protein. Over 25 grams in a 3-ounce serving. Low fat, low calorie, plus selenium and zinc. Sometimes gets overshadowed by chicken, but it's excellent.
And finally, shellfish, like shrimp or clams.
Yep, excellent protein sources too. Clams around 22 grams. Shrimp over 20 grams per 3-ounce cooked serving.
Plus other benefits.
Yeah, healthy fats, selenium, zinc, B12, iron, really nutritious.
Okay, wow. That is a huge list of options. It really shows there is so many ways to get protein, whether you eat meat or stick to plants.
It really does. And that brings us nicely to that animal versus plant distinction, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's the main difference?
So the key thing, as Harvard Health explains, is completeness. Animal sources, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, plus a couple of plant stars like soy and quinoa.
The ones we mentioned earlier.
Right, they're complete, meaning they naturally contain all 9 of those essential amino acids in good amounts your body can easily use.
Okay. And most other plant proteins.
Most other plants are incomplete. They might be low in or completely missing 1 or more of those essential 9.
So if someone eats mostly plants, how do they make sure they get everything? Do they need to worry?
Not necessarily worry, but they need to be strategic. The key is variety.
Mix it up.
Exactly. By eating a wide range of different plant proteins throughout the day, different legumes, grains, nuts, seeds, you create a combined intake that does provide all the essential amino acids. Think complementary pairings across your meals.
I see. So it's not necessarily about getting them all in one single food, but over the course of the day.
Precisely. Your body can pool the amino acids consumed over several hours.
That's helpful. And the sources also talked about the protein package. I like that idea.
Me too. It's a great way to think about it. You're not just eating protein, right?
No, food comes with other stuff.
Exactly. What kind of fats are in there, how many carbs, what vitamins, minerals, that whole package matters. Harvard Health advises choosing leaner meats and poultry, watching out for saturated fat and sodium.
Right. Avoiding really fatty cuts, processed meats, maybe duck.
Yeah, those tend to have more of the less desirable fats or high sodium. So it's the total picture, not just the protein grams.
And there was a benefit highlighted for specifically emphasizing plant proteins.
Yes, definitely. Harvard Health points out that swapping out red meat for healthy plant proteins like beans or nuts is consistently linked with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease.
So another plus for plants.
Seems so. While both animal and plant proteins are valuable, pushing towards more plants seems to offer some extra protective benefits for heart health.
Okay, so we've covered getting enough protein. But what about going above that minimum? Are there extra benefits to a higher protein intake?
Potentially, yes. Beyond just preventing deficiency, there are a few key areas. One big one is muscle.
Maintaining it, building it.
Both. Especially important as we get older. Muscle mass naturally tends to decline after, say, age 50. Harvard Health suggests older adults might benefit from aiming closer to 1 gram per kilo just to help preserve that muscle.
Okay, so maintenance.
And for building muscle, if you're exercising, higher protein intake gives your body the raw materials it needs to repair and grow muscle tissue after you work out.
Right, feeding the muscles. What about weight management? That comes up a lot with protein.
It does. The research is ongoing, but some studies, like those mentioned by Harvard Health, suggest higher protein diets can help with losing weight and keeping it off.
Why is that? The fullness factor again.
That's likely a big part of it. Feeling fuller longer might lead you to eat fewer calories overall, but it's usually most effective as part of a balanced approach with exercise, not just eating more protein in isolation.
Got it. I was also interested in a potential link mentioned with brain health, cognitive function.
Yeah, that was interesting. One study Harvard Health cited found a link between getting more protein from plant sources and lower odds of cognitive decline later in life.
Plant protein again.
Seems to pop up quite a bit, doesn't it? Suggests another potential long-term benefit of shifting the balance a bit more towards plants.
So, okay, lots of potential upsides to getting adequate or even slightly higher protein. But can you overdo it? Are there risks to eating too much?
Yes, there are some things to be cautious about. You can definitely go too far. One risk is simply dietary imbalance.
How so?
Well, if you focus so much on protein, you might crowd out other important things like healthy carbs and fats, which you also need for energy and overall health.
Right, balance is key.
And maybe, obviously, if you just add more protein calories without burning more calories through activity, that can lead to weight gain, just like excess calories from anywhere else.
Makes sense. And what about the kidneys? I feel like I've heard warnings about high protein in kidneys.
That's right. The sources touched on that. For people who already have kidney problems, a very high protein intake can potentially be harmful, putting extra strain on them.
So for pre-existing conditions.
Yes. And some research also links very high animal protein intake specifically to a slightly higher risk of developing kidney stones in some individuals.
Okay. So is there like a general upper limit people should be aware of?
It's hard to give an exact number for everyone, but as a general guideline, going over 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day.
Which is about 0.9 grams per pound.
Right. Going above that consistently is probably unnecessary and not recommended for most average healthy adults. And getting more than, say, 35% of your total daily calories purely from protein might also be excessive territory for most people.
Okay, that puts it into perspective. Wow, this has been really thorough. So let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways.
I think the main things are protein is absolutely crucial for so many things your body does.
Building, repairing immune function.
Exactly. And the good news is there's a huge variety of delicious foods to get it from both animal and plant sources. Eggs, chicken, fish, lentils, nuts, yogurt, loads of choice.
And remember the package, right?
Yeah.
Not just the grams, but the whole food.
Yes. The source and the overall nutritional quality matter just as much as the amount. Lean sources, prioritizing plants where possible, that seems to be the smart approach.
Yeah, so for you listening, what are some things to maybe mull over?
Well, think about your own life. How active are you? What are your food preferences? Are you getting protein from mostly lean sources?
Are you getting enough variety, especially if you're plant-based?
Right. Could just a few small tweaks to your meals or snacks help you line up your protein intake better with your own goals? Whether that's fitness, weight management, or just, solid everyday health.
Really good questions to ask yourself. And maybe just one final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
Given this huge variety of foods, all with different protein levels and all those other nutrients,
Yeah.
and knowing that the perfect amount of protein might be different for everyone and is still being researched, what are some creative ways you could maybe mix and match these protein sources throughout your day? Could you combine them strategically, not just to hit your protein number, but to really maximize all the other cool health benefits these foods offer, like fiber, healthy fats, vitamins, minerals?
Ooh, I like that, like optimizing the whole package through smart combinations.
Exactly. It's kind of a fascinating puzzle to figure out for yourself, isn't it? Your diet is this ongoing experiment in your personal health journey.
That's a great way to put it. Lots to think about.
Definitely. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.